And then we'll go live. Okay. Well, hello. I'm Jim Morgan. This is Life's Co-Pilot, brought to you by Caring Transitions Indy North. We provide this as a service to bring anything senior related, remotely senior related, to you guys at free. So today we have with us, we have the company called Pest Assassin, and they are going to talk to us about that terrifying, scary word that so many of us are afraid of. I know I'm in the estate sale business, online auction business, or whatever, clean out business, pack and move business. So this word scares us. I know that a lot of senior living communities have had these terrifying words come out of their situations, and so these guys make that less terrifying. Is the way I'm going to understand that, and that is, what do you do when you get the word that you have bed bugs? So gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself. We got Adam and Anthony here. I'll let you guys introduce yourselves and you introduce your company, and then let's just visit a little bit about this.
Yeah, Anthony Thomas with Pest Assassin and Instant Bedbug Assassin. And joining me is Adam.
Yeah, my name's Adam. I'm the operations manager for our, as we always say, kind of sister companies, Pest Assassins and Instant Bedbug Assassins.
So tell me about your company. What all obviously you get rid of pests, but tell me about what you do and how you go about uh getting involved in all this.
Sure. I'll give you a real quick brief history. So we started the company in 2018, strictly as a bedbug remediation only specialty pest control company. And so from 2018 to 2023, we just refined that strategy. And it's what we do is 1 day heat-based bed bug remediation, and that's still the specialty of our company and what sort of differentiates us in a lot of ways. One of the things, anyway, that differentiates us in a lot of ways from other companies. We do heat-based work. It means Jim, if you or anybody else had bed bugs in their house or their apartment or their business, the easiest way to explain it is we're going to heat that entire space up to 140 degrees, hold it at that temperature for 4 hours, create an environment that bed bugs and their eggs, all life stages in between, can't tolerate anything more than 120 degrees. So we, that is the system, the strategy that we have really refined, like I said, since 2018. And then along the way, in 2023 and 24, we actually acquired two sort of smaller solo operator pest control companies around the Shelbyville, Indiana area, and started to learn about what we could do with a whole lot of other pests, um, roaches, rodents, spiders, ants, beetles, all those other things, wildlife, that can get in there and bother you in your house. So we've been operating that part of the business under the name Pest Assassins, a little broader name than Instant Bedbug Assassins, obviously, since 2023. And just continued to grow the business, continued to grow our coverage area. When we started, it was one bedbug machine in Shelbyville, Indiana. We currently have 11 of those machines that cover the whole state of Indiana, a big chunk of north central Kentucky, and then central Florida.
Wow. So you guys are getting some busy stuff there. So now 140 degrees. So you heat the house or the building, the room, whatever it is. That's very fascinating to me. I never heard of that before. Most people are doing things with chemicals and pesticides and what have you. So you're not using like chemicals?
That's it. So chemical, we do use some pesticide, but you're correct in that most companies who, have come up as a more traditional pest control company, when they get a call about spiders or ants or roaches or those kind of pests, they're used to spraying. That's what they're equipped to do. And so when they get a call about bed bugs, you're exactly right. Most of them will just they'll talk to you about a spray only based approach, and that is what makes our company a really attractive alternative to a lot of customers. Most folks who quote you for spray only based bed bug work are going to set you up on a 2 to 4 spray cycle, couple weeks in between each spray. They're going to kill some bed bugs. They're going to hope that they know they're going to miss some eggs, right? They're going to hope that as those next round of eggs hatch, that spray 2 or spray 3 or spray 4, they eventually, 4, 6, or 8 weeks down the road, get ahead of that next egg cycle and can get you to a full remediation. Really hard to do with pesticide only. When you come in and do a heat-based approach, get that entire space up to 140 degrees, you can kill all the live bugs and all of the eggs that you can't reach with the pesticide at the same time. That's what really makes it like I said, a differentiator for our company. Not a lot of companies are willing to put the sort of the money into the kind of machines that we have to be able to do the work that way.
Yeah, I would think it'd be a pretty substantial machine to get the room up to a steady 140.
It is. I mean, they're big trailer-based machines. They sit outside of the house or outside of, we do a lot of skilled nursing units and those kind of places, assisted living facilities, but it sits outside. All of the heating equipment and fans are tied back to that big heater outside. And, believe it or not, we can, if anything, we're trying to we can get it up to 140 and hold it there real steadily. It's really not challenging for us with those big machines to get it up to that hot, believe it or not. They're just big, powerful machines. We do 4,000 square foot homes sometime, and we heat every inch of it to 140 degrees.
Wow. Well, bed bugs is this terrifying thing, and everybody's embarrassed that they'd ever have some issues with this. But I mean, just how easy is it for someone to get them?
Yeah, it's super easy. Talk to customers all the time, right, about how bed bugs work. I mean, they are hitchhiker bugs. Um, you don't leave your window or door open and bed bugs crawl in, right? That's not how it works. The way it does work is, Anthony has bed bugs at his house, and I go over there and I hang out and I play cards and I toss my jacket on his couch, and one of those bugs crawls on my jacket, and I put my coat on. I go home, and guess what? Now we both have them, right? And so that is the easiest way to describe it. I mean, you talked about before we got on the call here a little bit about what doing a lot of like antiquing and looking for those kind of old furniture and things like that. We get a lot of people who say, I bought a couch on Facebook Marketplace and it had bed bugs in it, and now we both have them, right? So
Yeah.
it's all different kinds of ways like that people carry them into their house. That's really what it's about. So you get a lot of people who feel, they get super embarrassed and they feel terrible. And we try to tell them we've done, not only homes, but also doctor offices and libraries and movie theaters and restaurants. We've treated all of those dentist chairs, all those kind of places where, it's just part of life. You sit in those places and you accidentally pick something up that you don't realize.
Yeah. So, like you said, even like hospitals. So you're talking about
Yep.
like these very, very sterile environments, and they still can have that issue.
Yeah. In
So,
addition, when we
yeah.
were talking about the trailers and the system that we use, we will pull up and do the treatment, and you won't even know why we're there. The trailers aren't marked, because it's that scary word. Well, we're in there taking care of bed bugs, and then all the panic starts, right? So we could be cleaning drains, we could be cleaning ductwork, we could be doing anything. So especially in these some of the assisted living homes, hospitals, and things. It's you don't want this big trailer out there that says we're killing bugs, right?
Right.
So it's a neat system that we have for sure, and very very effective.
One thing I mean, I'm intrigued with this heating thing. This is something that's got is not what my thought normally would be, but I recall I went to a potential client job site to it was actually a guardianship attorney's staff that met me there because they had a client that they're caring for who had a son who died there unexpectedly. Okay, it was the quote unquote circumstances. When we were going in the house, she was telling me that they wanted to do an estate sale or whatever. And as I was walking in, she also made the comment. She goes, "We just had someone here spraying for bed bugs, so that's all been taken care of." Well, I walk in and it's a hoarder house, literally back floor to ceiling. It was one of those big mansions down in Delaware Street, and so it was like near to where the presidential home. And I'm like, there's no way I'm trusting the fact that those bed bugs are dead in a room that is packed 10 feet high solid all the way back. I go, there's no way that that penetrated, you know. So, but you're saying that with the heat, it's going to make it's not going to, you're not going to have a place for them to hide. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's much more difficult for them to hide from the heat than hide from the pesticide for sure. Now that being said, we do have some pretty detailed home preparation sheets that we pass on to every customer before we do the treatment. And one of the things that is on there is some specific instructions for decluttering the home as best they can, right? I always explain to the customer, like if you're standing and you're looking into this bedroom or this office space, right, and there's a giant stack of clothes or books or toys or whatever in one corner, and you're going, okay, if I blew a fan with 140-degree air on that big pile of clothes over there, it still might not get hot all the
Yeah.
way in the back of that pile. Well, then we got to declutter that area in order to expose everything to the heat, right? So
Yeah,
that
because
is
that
a
would be
part of the process.
like an insulation thing.
You got it exactly right. So a lot of people will, in the name of decluttering, they'll scoop up a bunch of clothes out of their room and they'll throw them all in a garbage bag and tie that garbage bag up and take it outside and go, hey, I decluttered my room. You guys do the treatment, then I'm gonna bring that bag back in, right? And oh boy, right now
Yeah,
we
you
we
bring
could
it
do
right
our
back with
job.
them.
That you got it right. We could do our job perfectly, and if they do that, they're gonna have rescued a bug, as we say, accidentally.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that I can definitely see that happening to them.
Yep.
Now, um, so basically, so in other words, if you know, I assume you said you're working with like senior living places and what have you. I would imagine that would be an area that would very easily run into this because they're constantly having new people moving in, you know, that could bring something with them when they come in. You know, I'm in houses all the time where we actually move people in, and you know, oftentimes, you know, when you're working with an aged, you know, couple or individual, the place is not as tidy as you might think because it's just too much work to do. Maybe they just don't have the flexibility to do the things. So, you know, so I could see where that could be a challenge, coming in. So,
No, it definitely is. And it's like I said, bed bugs for a while was our entire business, and it's still, probably on a month-to-month basis, probably 80% or more of our revenue, right? So
right.
that is what our specialty is. So when you do that much bed bug work, you're going to see all kinds of home-based situations. I mean, we go in and do some big, beautiful homes that just got unlucky and got bed bugs, and you see some really rough stuff as well. That's just part of the deal. We've done everything in between. We always say bed bugs don't discriminate, right? It doesn't matter if you have a nice house or a cruddy house or, tall, short. It doesn't matter if you're good looking like Anthony or ugly like me. It doesn't matter. They'll bite anybody, right? So they don't discriminate for any reason. If you carry them into your house, you're going to have them. That's the bottom line.
What do people look for to make sure that, because like you said, you could carry them in on you could, like you said, you could go to the hair, you get your hair cut and you hang your coat next to somebody else's
That's
coat,
right.
so
Yeah.
what do
So
you
the,
look for? How do you know that you need a problem?
Yeah, most people when they first call us, they first have they start to get strange bites once every few days that they can't really explain, and they start to go, I didn't think anything of it the first time or maybe the second time, but after that happens a third or fourth time, you start to go, something's going on here, right? And that's part of what makes bed bugs difficult because if they bit you once or twice, and now that's enough that they're starting to take hold, they're starting to lay eggs in the meantime, right? And starting to 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 sort of solidify that infestation a little bit before you realize that you have a problem. And so but that's how it usually starts for most folks. And then they start looking around to see if they can find something that's causing these bites, right? So when our guys go look, or whether folks look at home or people at a facility are looking to see if they have a bed bug problem, the most obvious sign, of course, is to just find the live bugs themselves, right? Um, when a bed bug comes out of the egg, it is very tiny, but you can see it with the naked eye. These are not like microscopic bugs or ones that are too tiny to see. So when they first come out of that egg, they're very small and they're very light colored, very thin skinned. If you get one of those brand new little bugs out of an egg and get it under a microscope, you can almost see their internal organs because their skin is so thin and light. And then as they bite you, they draw blood like a mosquito does. That's how they survive. That's how they eat and survive. So they crawl on your bare skin while you're sleeping or watching TV. They bite you. They draw blood. They crawl back to that hiding place. And then as they get older, they get stained that kind of rusty brown red color. We always say a good guideline for an adult bug is kind of the size, color, and shape of an apple seed. It's a pretty good
Okay.
guideline. So you can definitely see them. So yeah, people start looking for bugs. That's one thing. There are some other secondary signs that our guys look for that people can look for in either a commercial setting or in their own home. Sometimes you will find like bug shells before you see live bugs. Those bugs that as they grow, they break out of their skin like a snake does, like any insect does, and they'll leave that little shell behind. You will see fecal matter spots sometimes. It's just bug poop. I mean, it looks like you took a Sharpie and like made little dots on the corner of your mattress or the seam of your mattress or behind the headboard of your bed. So that's a pretty telltale sign. Um, when they bite you, their abdomen does get kind of swelled up tight. And so if they bite you and they start to crawl away and you sort of roll over at night or maybe kind of do one of these in your sleep, it's really easy to like kind of pop that backside, that abdomen, and they'll leave a little spot of blood on your sheets. So those are the kind of things you want to look around for.
Okay. So, when you come in for your 140-degree temp thing, is that if they've not had piles of clothes in the corner and stuff, is it a one-time deal or is it I come back in 2 more weeks to make sure?
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of a yes and no answer to that. It is a one-time heat-based solution. We take over the home at 8 o'clock in the morning, or the unit in the assisted living facility, whatever the case may be. We get our equipment set up. It's up to temperature, usually up to 140 degrees, usually by around 10:30 or 11, and then we start a 4-hour treatment clock, and we hold it at 140 degrees for 4 hours. At the end of that 4 hours, we expect to kill every bug, every egg, anything bed bug related to be dead at the end of that 4 hour window. Turn the machine off, pick out all our stuff, get it back on the truck, and we're out of there. And we're turning the space back over to you by 5 p.m. We do, however, part of what you get for the package of services is we do come back and do a 1 week follow up, spray and inspection. We don't expect to kill anything with the spray. It's really more a precautionary thing, just in case there was a bug. We expect all the bugs and eggs to be dead from the treatment. And we're really just getting back in there doing an inspection to look around one more time. And then the entire property that we heat, whether that's one unit or a huge house or multiple units in a building, all the areas we heat are under warranty for a minimum of 60 days.
Okay. What about like behind bookcases and stuff? That could be an insulating core.
Yeah, it can be. One of the things on those home preparation sheets, we talked about the decluttering a little bit. Another thing is kind of moving big furniture in off of the wall towards the middle of the room. We do a pre-spray before we turn the heat on also. So that lets us get both the pre-spray back there as well as be able to blow hot air back behind those big heavy pieces of furniture or bookcases, those kind of things. And a lot of our customers will say, hey, I can move 70% of the stuff in my house, but this armoire over here, I'm 75 years old. There's no way I'm moving that thing. Our guys will help them with that final home preparation.
That was my next question,
Yeah,
so, because I was going to say that I can see that being a challenge for a lot of people. So,
it is, and we always say, like do as much as you can do, right? Don't say, well, I can't do all of it, so I'm gonna do none of it, right? Do everything that you can do, and our guys, they know that's part of the deal. There's going to be some days where they have to show up and do a little bit of home prep finish up before they get started.
okay. Well, that's what I was going to ask that question because
Yep.
that could be a problem to do for somebody. Well, now you got me intrigued with your original conversation about, doing like everything else as far as rodents and wild animals and all that kind of stuff. So I'm taking a point of personal privilege and asking a question on that. I
Sure.
have been fighting these damn red squirrels in my house for 40 years. And I win for a while, and then they win for a while, and then I win for a while, and then they win for a while. And right now they're winning, and it's really getting under my
Yep.
skin. So, I mean, these little things, The last time they've gotten in, this is where they are now. They dug through the mortar on my fireplace, and they pulled the flashing up on my fireplace, and they dug through the mortar under my kitchen window to get into the house. And they're determined, So
Yep.
and they're in
Must
the
have
wall.
something there. You must have something there, Jim, that they really like if they keep getting in like that.
Well, I my walls are designed as a big habit trail. They were built in the house was built in 1983 during the energy crisis. And so it's a 10-inch wall. So it's a 2x4 wall with insulation, a 2-inch dead space, and another 2-inch, you know, you know. So for years they could once they get in there, they can go anywhere without without any problem. Well, then they destroyed the insulation. So I just re-insulated with a blown in, um, I don't know, a year ago. And I thought that would probably do it, and then the little suckers are back in again. So, but anyway,
Yeah, we do quite a bit of wildlife exclusion, bat exclusion. It's just sealing up all the entry points, finding them and sealing them up, and then okay, well, I've sealed this up, but they've dug back out. So then you start putting some fine screen in there, then you reseal them. So there's just numerous different ways to do that. But yeah, we deal with that as well. I wanted to go back to the bed bug and pest side real quick. We're one of the few approved Indiana Medicaid waiver providers.
really,
So if you're on Medicaid and you have a waiver, which there's roughly 55-ish thousand members in Indiana, you have a $4,000 pest control budget per year. And we're one of the few providers that are approved through the state of Indiana to do that work. So we travel the whole state of Indiana basically doing bed bug work and pest control for Medicaid members, but they have to have the waiver. So
right?
it's some of that most people don't even know it exists. And so that's an important piece of what we do.
So if they've got the Medicaid waiver, so they're aging at home, then that covers that. Now, if I don't know the rules on this as far as how that goes, but let's say someone is in an assisted living and maybe they're on a waiver, okay, but then they find bugs in their apartment. Is that a does the community deal with that, or does that individual have to deal with that?
Well, if their case manager reaches out to us, that's how we get referrals from case managers, right? The only tricky part you run into there is the property owner itself saying, "Hey, I have a pest control company. I don't want you in here."
Right,
And it's like, okay, that's fine, but are you going to pay for it? Right? And no, we don't want to pay for it. Well, your member, the Medicaid member has the waiver, so it's taken care of. So that gets a little bit tricky at times, but typically we have a pretty good relationship, and we can talk to the owner of the facility, and we've done it all ways actually, but I can count on less than very few do not allow us to do treatment.
okay. All right. Well, that's interesting. Like I said, I just was trying. So, but it usually is the tenant that's in the room is your client then, rather than the facility.
Correct. But we've also heated or treated big facilities that call us. It doesn't have to be Medicaid. That's just another option that we have for people to get treatment.
Yeah,
Okay.
most of our, I would say, you correct me if I'm wrong, Anthony, but most of our Medicaid work, work that is reimbursed by Medicaid is in a home-based setting as opposed to like a facility-based setting. So it's a person who's getting home-based services at their personal residence. They have a waiver that's allowing them to get those services at home as opposed to a skilled nursing or nursing homes type of setting, right? And so, Medicaid is picking up the tab to get that pest control problem cleaned up so that they can get, that person who's giving them kidney dialysis or diabetes care or whatever the case may be can get in there and do it safely without being exposed to a pest control problem.
Very good. so, so what territories? How far out do you go in central Indiana or whatever? Or do you go? Do you go the whole state?
So as far as so that's a tricky question to answer. It shouldn't be, but it kind of is. So
I
I'll
get
start
it.
with the easy part. If we are just doing one-off general pest calls, like somebody calls up and says, "Hey, I got ants in my porch," or "I have squirrels in my wall," that kind of pest control one-off call is basically around Shelby County area pretty much like the donut counties around Shelby County. So just staying central to that, to our actual physical location. The bed bug work, we cover essentially at this point the entire state of Indiana, and like I said, a big chunk of north central Kentucky, and a big chunk of central Florida. And when you're relying as much as we do on those heat-based treatments, that's the core of our business. You got to go get them. So, from we have physical locations in Louisville, Shelbyville, Indiana, Fort Wayne, South Bend, and Lakeland, Florida, and we'll do a good every bit of 2 hour radius around all those locations to go get bed bug jobs. We'll go do that heat-based work. Now the in between part is the Medicaid stuff that Anthony was talking about earlier, and Anthony, jump in if you want to talk, say, or if I say something wrong. But when we get Medicaid reimbursed pest control leads, we're certainly willing to travel to go get those. And for those, I mean, we pretty much at this point, we've gone about everywhere across the state of Indiana that someone would want us to go.
Yeah, we've yet to turn one down. Um, that population, they deserve treatment as well. And as we went down this road to be a approved provider in the state of Indiana, you realize nobody wants to do this kind of work. And so what started as we were just going to do the donut counties, and it's just continued to expand. And so wherever we go to do bed bugs in Indiana, we go do pest control now. So, um, and we're proud of that. I mean, it's helping the Medicaid population.
Oh, very good. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. What is the one thing you would like to make sure that people know about? And I'm assuming a lot of people are just trying to hide to a degree because they're like, oh my God, I don't want to admit that I might have these.
Yeah. Well, I would say, Anthony, I'll let you cover the Medicaid part because I have a feeling that'd be your one thing. So I would just say on the bed bug specific side, I understand that when people hear that word bed bugs, it makes you freak out, and it's super upsetting. But um, if you're at the beginning of that problem, if you really look close and hard at a heat-based solution, it really can be it can be mitigated. You can get a full 100% solution to bed bugs. Yes, they're scary and they're gross and nobody wants to have them, but they're not an insolvable problem. You don't have to live with them for the rest of your life. You don't have to shut down your whole life for months and months and months while you wait for spray to work. If you bite the bullet, you get a really good, solid heat-based solution. Of course, we hope that's from our company, obviously. It's solvable. It really is.
And on the Medicaid side, whether it be bed bugs or general pest, we're here to help. There's no reason to be embarrassed. The pests and bed bugs don't discriminate. So we are here to help. We just have your case manager give us a call. We'll set up an inspection. Then we send over a proposal. We get an NOA, which is a notice of action from the state. We schedule the services and off and running. So we are here to help and be glad to help you.
I appreciate it, guys. Well, thank you for sharing with us. I really appreciate this. I will send you a copy of this video. You can use however you want. So, but it'll be
Perfect.
this video. Facebook lets us do live videos they let them stay up for a month and then it goes away. Okay. But we'll put it on a YouTube and it'll be on our Life's Copilot YouTube page as well.
All right, Jim. Thank you very much.
Really
All right,
appreciate it.
guys. See you later.
Thanks. All right. Bye-bye.